Good morning. Welcome back. It's been a while. Welcome back to George Past the Post. This video is going to look at the Caerphilly Senedd by-election, the Welsh Assembly, potentially the last Welsh Assembly by-election ever, because in next year's election for the Assembly, Senedd, they're using a proportional system, but a seismic result. Plaid won the election with about 47%. Reform came second with about 36%. And the major story is that Labour won just 11%. The Conservatives won 2%, and the rest won whatever the remaining numbers are, up to 100. I say the story is for Labour because it was just 11% in a seat which, so they've always held it at the Welsh Assembly level since 1999, but more importantly, the Westminster equivalent, not exactly the same boundaries, but the same, close enough. Caerphilly has been a Labour seat since 1918. It still voted for Labour quite comfortably in the three of the worst Labour election results ever, which were 1931, 1983 and 2019. And so, sometimes you get by-elections which sort of can be dismissed as midterm protest votes, or you can get very close results where, even if the government party loses, they can sort of say, well, we nearly won. Such as Runcorn, where Reform did win earlier in the year, but it was just by 4 votes. So, you could sort of say, well, Labour nearly won, so, all to play for. This does potentially feel seismic. If it had been a very close result between Plaid, Reform and Labour, if Labour had come a very close second or even third, you could perhaps say, well, it's just midterm blues. If you're only getting 11% on a over 50% turnout, which is pretty good for a by-election, there's potentially something seismic happening. Now, of course, all caveats must be applied. Applied, see what I did there? By-elections don't predict the future. They are one-off elections, but I don't think you can dismiss something so seismic. You have, this was a Labour seat, I almost went Neil Kinnock then, a Labour council, a Labour seat, getting just 11% of the vote. That was my attempted Neil Kinnock impression. Some of you may not even know who Neil Kinnock is. There we go. It was as I say, have I used the word seismic enough? Very significant result, potentially. We will see in the coming years if it's representative. Another key point, though, is, as I say, Reform got about 36% of the vote. In almost, on current, the by-elections every week, the local elections, in many areas, 36% would have been more than enough for them to win. But they didn't win because, obviously, Plaid, the voters who didn't want to vote for Reform, they coalesced around Plaid. And so something to watch as we head, as we head into the future is, what this by-election shows is that Reform are competitive, but they can be defeated if the voters who are opposed to them, if they coalesce around one candidate. British politics continues to be exciting. All elections are exciting. I know I say it's a lot. So, apologies if I got some of the figures a bit wrong. I was trying to do this from memory to try and, anyway. Thank you for watching, if you've made it this far. And, yes, it was a very interesting by-election, as you can tell. Well, I found it interesting anyway. Hope you have a good day, and, well, perhaps I'll do another video about something at some point. Goodbye.